So my wish for everyone is to never give up because believing works. And as you just heard, I was a broadcast journalism concentration in the television radio major before they had the journalism major itself, and an anthropology minor. And I was heavily involved in what was then ICB TV, VIC radio, and WICB FM. And I even dabbled a little bit in the Ithacan. After I left Ithaca College, I did a fellowship. It was a paid fellowship called the Leo Baranek Fellowship in Boston. And I had 10 months of rotating through different positions in the newsroom. And the last 3 months, I was on the air after shadowing reporters and helping video editors and writing. That was a great experience for me. It was an affirmative action program to promote diversity and inclusion. So, Ithaca College gave me a head start with learning, but this program also gave me a head start because it was like an apprenticeship for reporters. So when I was 23, I ended up going to Columbus, Ohio, and I had 1 year experience in Boston, but I applied for a job there that asked for 5 years experience. It was advertised that way. I tried it anyway because I believed in myself. I had the Ithaca College hands-on experience. I think that made a difference. I was one of only two Black reporters at the station, and hardly ever more than two or three people were on air as staff, as people of color. So I was in the minority there. I had someone actually at a desk in front of me or across from me who once said to me, like, "You'll never get fired because you're Black." And I'm like, what? Like my mouth dropped open, and I had to explain to him that there are 3,000 people just like me that are part of the National Association of Black Journalists, NABJ, and that provides support to Black journalists, mentoring programs, workshops. I've dealt with ignorant comments like that. I tried to set him straight and let him know what was up. Because you know what? I loved my job there. I wasn't going to let what he thought, bother me. And I got promoted to an anchor position, but I didn't love early mornings. That was my shift. So I stayed there 9.5 years. I joined SAG-AFTRA, which is the Screen Actors Guild, American Federation of Television Radio Artists. And I joined it as a freelancer. After 10 years at that station, I wanted to try something new. So I took a leap of faith. I gave 9 months notice. I quit my job, a well-paying job. And I started auditioning, in the Columbus area and throughout the Central Ohio and the Midwest. So I learned a lot about the Screen Actors Guild, SAG-AFTRA at that time, because I learned that they were fighting to protect workers that were on set and behind the scenes. And after 10 years of freelancing, I was doing hosting, commercials, modeling, acting, even the Ohio News Network, where I ended up on mornings again. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't get away from that shift. So, I still enjoyed what I was doing, but I got tired of not knowing when my next paycheck would come. I didn't know at the time. We didn't have direct deposit. So I was running to the mailbox every day to see if there was a paycheck in there. And I would write net 30 days on my invoices, but they would still take 60, 90, 120 days to pay me. So I know I needed a change, not only from how I was getting paid and, paying for my bills, but I needed a change in terms of getting off of early mornings because I was not a morning person. And I don't know why everybody wanted me to work in the mornings. So at the time, I was still living in Columbus, Ohio. I decided to move from Columbus, which is a great town. I loved it. But I decided to move back to DC to be near my family. And there would be more of a support system here other than just my friends. And I was still freelancing, but I called all the people that I knew to try and find job openings. So you know how you've heard it's who you know. And that worked for me. That networking worked for me. I found a part-time job doing traffic reporting in the morning again. And then I would freelance during the afternoon and do auditions. So it did pay my bills. I still had those early mornings, so that was not for me. And I decided I was going to go back to finding full-time work, but finding a full-time job takes work. A lot of people say finding a full-time job is a full-time job, and it does take a lot of work. I agree with that. So I found my current job at the Machinist Union in 2011 on tvjobs.com. That was a subscription site that I decided I'm going to spend the money on this site to find a job. And that worked out for me. So I'm a communications representative in the communications department of a labor union. And we tell our members stories through organizing campaigns, collective bargaining, rallies, protests. We do member profiles. I initially joined on the video team, and I'm still on the video team, but I also help with some social media. We did some cross training for territorial communications out in the field when collective bargaining is going on. And that's when workers can get a new contract, a new and improved contract, uh, with better working conditions, wages, raises, like cost of living adjustments, better hours. We try to get rid of a two-tier pay system where you have one tier where people are making top pay, the more experienced workers, and then you have a second tier for newer workers where they're not making as much money for doing the exact same job. So we fight to get rid of that. So I've learned a lot over the years working through the unions, whether it be SAG-AFTRA or the Machinist Union where I work. We're also called the IAM or IMAW because the full name is the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers. And I also learned through my experiences that human resources works for the company and that the unions work for the workers. I've seen that in every place that I've worked. I still use human resources as a resource, but I always try to remember that when I'm trying to better my working conditions. So I've learned about a lot of different resources with which you'll leave with today. But if anyone's interested in joining a union, the American Federation of Labor, Congress of Industrial Organizations is the AFL-CIO. I do a lot of work with them. They explain what unions do. The Department of Labor is a great resource. And I also learned that the AFL-CIO has constituency groups like the Asian Pacific American Labor Alliance, APALA, APRI, the A. Philip Randolph Institute, CBTU is the Coalition of Black Trade Unionists. CLU is the Coalition of Labor Union Women. I'm very involved in that. LACLA is the Labor Council for Latin American Advancement. And Pride at Work is the LGBTQ organization for workers. So I joined all of them because I'm trying to support all of them and I'm trying to support all workers, especially workers of color. So if you ever have a chance to join a union, join one. Vote yes if you have a representation election because you know that unions are going to be working for you. And I didn't learn that in high school. I didn't learn that in college. And that's something that I think, still needs to be taught in this day and age. Cornell University still has a labor college. And I'm glad that that's still happening because you're getting the other side of the story. But never give up, believe in yourself, as Ahmad said. Listen to that little voice in your head that is saying, I can do this. It makes a difference. Someone in the military told me not to stop there. Just don't say, I can do this. Say, I will do this. And it works. You have a better chance of succeeding if you believe that you can. Every person in the world, whether you're nervous or not, uses self-talk to build confidence. And you can too. And I can't wait to see where all of you get your first jobs in your chosen professions so that you can all go to your destiny. That's another thing that Ahmad said that I can't remember exactly the way he said it, but it was almost along the lines of everything happens for a reason. I think we end up where we are meant to be, and you can go to your destiny. So that's my wish for you. Never give up. Believing works, and all of us in the Ithaca College Alumni Association, see, I got one of these, all of us will be here for you. You have tens of thousands of alumni that are willing to help you as a student and when you graduate, when you join us and become part of the Alumni Association. So thank you.